All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is our monthly video meeting and our weekly meeting on IRC. So we're going to use the IRC channel to keep notes as well as to have folks that join just on IRC to talk to us right over there. But otherwise, let's get started. We're running a roll call on the IRC channel. If you've not already said hi, feel free to say hi, or I'll note it for you. I don't suppose we had any folks that said they can't make it today, but I'll just check.
You note for me that I'm here.
On time. You fixed your calendar. Oh, your voice is breaking up, Amy. You folks can hear me all right, right? Okay. Amy
Yep,
broke
you're
up for
good.
me. Okay.
It's where I am.
Ah, all right. Let's give this a couple of more minutes. Most of us are here, and we know Frickler doesn't join these meetings, so I think we can get started. Uh, Top on the agenda is last week's AIs. Let's start from there. So we had the we still have to work on the SBOM improvement with the Skyline folks. I mean, for one, I think I was not able to coax them to respond to the original thread, but they claim that they don't have any issues with the mailing list. So Fungi and I were trying to see if we could just remind them to respond to it. Uh, yeah, I should do that today and avoid pulling this into next week. And we took an AI on grenade and slurp upgrade test jobs against things that are not part of the integrated gate. Um, Gansham, was there any update to share on that?
No, I didn't get chance to look into few of the other project, but currently like for grenade skip level job running with the slurp release and all. But I think I said Manila, Ironic, Heat, and I think Octavia also. These four projects do run their
Yeah.
grenade jobs. I'll just do it today. I
Okay.
check that everything is correctly set up there and everything fine.
Yeah. Thank you. And so the VMT resolution was merged. That was also an AI. And I followed up by putting names on the cross project liaisons page, which is here. But I should warn you that that page is a lot of outdated information. including the vulnerability management section.
And did we update the new project application, Gautam, if you remember?
For oh
For
yeah,
this
for the
empty.
VMT stuff, yes, I think that's a good point. I guess yesterday I saw Fungi making some changes. Um, he started working on the OSSA guide as well as the VMT guides.
Yeah. And
Yeah, I think that was it. This was the one follow-up I've seen. And I mean, I was actually thinking of one other, which is to audit the bug trackers. We had a different reason for doing that. Um, Basically, just trying to see if the correct groups are owning those bug trackers and so on. Oh, thanks. There is
yeah, I was
another
just
page.
actually talking about this page,
Okay.
new project, even though we don't have much new project coming up, but here we can explicitly mention that this
Yeah.
VMT is also one of the, mandatory thing for any new project coming up.
Okay.
Because that was discussed previously that for our new project application, we don't have a VMT as a mandatory thing, even it's recommended, but still adding that as explicit, it should be very much clear.
And as I was saying, the other thing, sorry, firstly, thanks. I can make that change after this meeting.
Can you?
Yeah,
Sorry.
Sylvain, go ahead.
No, sorry, I had a problem with the mic.
Hmm.
Sorry. Basically, I looked at the liaisons for the VMT, and I guess maybe we should be asking every. Uh, Basically, we should be discussing with the projects
Yeah.
because at least for Nova, the liaison is no longer here. So at least for Nova, for the VMT. Yeah, basically, we need to make sure that the liaisons are here. So even for the basically, yeah, I don't know how the VMT does that, but for all the projects, but at least for the ones that were already supported, no, actually, no, the liaison wasn't the right one. But I'm pretty sure that the VMT team was knowing exactly who to ping for Nova, so it was not really a problem. But basically, I just want to make sure that if we use this specific documentation for the liaisons, then basically we should be able to make sure that at least for the TC folks, they exactly know who will be the liaison.
Agreed.
Yeah, so basically, because for example, if because I'm now the TC liaison for VMT, if I want to discuss with some specific project, then maybe I should be pinging the PTL. But if basically we have a VMT liaison, I just want to make sure to look at which specific document I should be looking for that.
As a liaison.
Correct.
So one is the cross-project liaisons link that I'm dropping on IRC. So that's where like you're seeing the things are off. But yes, of course, I think the VMT, once you start interacting with the VMT, you're going to see the VMT web page as well as the VMT process. Those are good links as a liaison to be aware of, and be available on IRC, right? Like that's where VMT will try and find you first. Uh, and I don't think they'll try to send you emails and stuff when they need to get in touch with you. And
No,
mhm.
okay, this is fine, but I would say basically I can discuss that with Fungi to be clear.
Yeah.
No, my question was more about yeah, basically for all the projects, either we continue to use the wiki as a documentation for that or not. But I just want to make sure that but like for Nova, it's simple for the VMT, but I wonder for all the projects whether we know exactly for that. So
No, yeah, that was the thing that I was mentioning as the next steps. I was going to send another email to the mailing list. Because I have been mentioning it as part of the PTG notes and everything after, right? So project teams need to take a look at their core sec teams and to take a look at this liaisons and update that. But I haven't seen any updates coming through from project teams. It's likely they're just not paying attention to the action items from a bigger email, right? So I suggested I'll send a specific directed email asking for those two things to be done. Um,
okay, I'm saying that because I just looked at what you said in IRC. No, I wasn't asking which documents the liaison should be aware of.
okay.
I was just looking at the wiki,
Hmm.
the VMT wiki, and I saw that we are having liaisons there. But at least for Nova, I'm pretty sure that the liaison is not the right one. So what I'm saying, what I was asking, is basically, for example, if we will be needing to have a specific document for knowing about all the liaisons, like who could be pinged for every project. If,
Yeah.
for example, basically, that's maybe a question from the VT from the VMT team, but that's also for me. Like as a TC liaison, if I want to ping someone from a project because, for example, as a TC liaison, I see that we have some CVE related to Cinder, and then I want to ping Cinder, but maybe not Cinder, let's say Cyborg, for example. Then who could I be pinging? I guess I could be pinging the PTL, but if basically the PTL doesn't want or is not able to look at the security issues, then they will have someone else as a VMT liaison. So that's what I'm asking.
Uh, yes. And so yes, that wiki is the page to go. And right now, as you say, it's outdated information for many projects. So feel free to go ahead and update the wiki for the Nova team. If
Mhm.
if it's going to be you or anybody on that stuff. So it'll be something that all the project teams will do. Um, Hopefully over the next week, we'll try and track it that way. Um, and then, I mean, what's the fallback for even you and I as TC liaisons? It would be Project Study YAML on the governance page. And so we maintain a list of all the PTLs, right? So that would be who we need to contact in case we can't get the liaisons to respond on any issue. Um, and if we are unable to get to both the liaisons or and the PTLs, then that's an issue that we can bring to this meeting. and figure out what we need to do. Very, very rarely have we taken a stance on how to get a security issue fixed without the project maintainers in the room. And we've done stuff like we've created private chats, we've sent emails and created an email thread and stuff in the past. But
Yeah.
sometimes we've had to take a very sledgehammer approach and remove a project from its release and stuff. So I would think that's not a decision the two of us would take. We would bring it back into this room and discuss with the rest of the TC.
Okay. Yeah, no. I'm cool with that basically because I was like not really say a liaison, but because I was previously another PTL, I discussed with the VMT for some problems, so I exactly know exactly what you said. But my question was more like, as I said, it's not about let's say Nova or other projects that are only being used by the VT by the VMT, but rather for, let's say, I'm thinking about Cyborg, I'm thinking about some other small project exactly who could be fun.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
anyway,
So
let's
we
not.
need to have like 30 something rows on that table, and right now they're just like a handful, right?
Mhm.
So it needs to be expanded, and we'll have to ask every project team to update that list.
Cool.
Yeah, there is a small note over there that says if you have a separate, uh, a separate liaison, you got to add that to the list. But if you don't, it is assumed that the PTL would be the security liaison as well.
Yeah.
So there's possibly some projects may not want to put their liaisons out there at all because it just means that the PTL is doing the work, and that's okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, one idea would be to just link the governance page so that we can always know who the PTL is. That way, we don't have to go look different places.
I'm cool with that as well. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Um, Anything else about this topic? What any other next steps that we need to take?
Gotham. What about also linking to the core reviewers if in a smaller project instance where Sylvan was saying you may not know who the PTL is? Well, and the PTL isn't responding, at least that would maybe give you another couple names to reach out to.
Right. Yeah, that's where the security liaisons would help. Except what if you've not nominated anyone, and how do you reach out? I think that's a good concern. Like I think for any project and deliverable, you can locate the group on Gerrit, um, and you have their email addresses. You may not have their IRC nicks, but that's what the channel project channel would be. So we'd have to do some homework, like in terms of going and locating the IRC nicks or something like that, or just posting on the channel. Hey, I'm running into an issue, and this is a security issue. Who can I talk to? Um, and I think you'll get some responses. If not, because sometimes it might be surprising to somebody that's a core reviewer, but not aware of a private security bug, right? Because it's only exposed to the security liaison or to the core sec team, which might just be the security liaison and the PTL. Um, so
Yeah.
some of these groups are just one or two people.
Yeah, because we have those, as you mentioned, Garrett and all, like where the team is, who all in team, but keeping this VMT license list very specific to who are VMT license, I think that will be helpful instead of keeping all the core member there and we don't know who is responsible for that. So this is, we can keep it very specific, like who is responsible for this VMT thing for that particular project. And if there is nothing, then we know like how to reach team. Those are the other place we have to refer anyways.
Yeah, I was talking more of a last ditch initial contact with the team. If you're not hearing back from liaison, you're not hearing back from the BTL, hitting up the cores. And at this point, nobody would know about the security issue because you haven't reached anyone yet.
Exactly. Okay. Any other thoughts or concerns about this? Right. Let's move on to the next one. I think we had some open uh, governance patches to merge, and we also had some OpenStack manuals changes that we were discussing on the TC channel. This wasn't part of the meetings, but I think all of those issues are resolved right now. If not, we'll just add them to an open discussion at the end. Um, we did have an AI about uh, affiliation changes. Just going to remind folks over here and on the channel again that please update your open infra profiles, foundation profiles, basically, uh, and keep it up to date. Um, Sorry, I wrote that wrong. Keep your open infra foundation profiles up to date with any affiliation changes that you have. Um, that was just a reminder, nothing else. And we did take an AI on improving the process or documentation for SIG maintenance and onboarding. Um, I don't suppose it's a week's worth of work. Was there any progress? Anybody wants to note about this? I don't recall any concrete action items as such that we took. Besides, I think the after discussion was about, how do we signal that we can pass on projects between people that, that are no longer active. And I think we have a project team guide update that's pending that you can take a look at for that specific issue. Was the concern with the Ansible deliverable addressed, Dimitri?
Ansible drill,
The collections.
can you repeat the question?
Yes, the Ansible collections project that you had a concern getting code patches merged into.
No, so I think it wasn't like, I mean, I just use it as an example, right? So
Hmm.
it's I think we overall not having like any defined like criteria for six, because it was like in
Oh,
six in general, and how like new community members can step in if there is no interested person left, if there is no chair, no like meetings,
yeah.
whatever, and limited interest from current group, for instance. And I took it as an example just because like I was pinged by other like community member in OpenStack Ansible channel as like related one, and this person was just like uh, trying to find someone who could assist them. I think it's sorted out, and I think like Artem is right now, well, not right now, but was in reach with this contributor. But I think that issue about, well, the issue overall about six and like their ownership, let's put it this way, remains kind of open, I guess.
Right. And we started discussing how to address the broader problem. But if somebody has a proposal, I think things will move a little faster, right?
Yeah, exactly. The thing is that I don't have any good proposal. As all my proposals would be to put more like not pressure, but more um, processes. And the whole idea of SIG was to be lightweight.
Right.
And how to find this balance is kind of tricky, I believe. But I think there was like one proposal that would raise is to actualize the data about like meetings about channels of communication and current chairs. I think this is really a good starting point. Probably you propose it, right?
It changed to project team guide, but that's to project teams, not to the SIGs.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
right. But yeah, probably this is indeed a good starting point, and maybe we can ask six. I don't know,
Yeah.
in some way to do that.
Okay, I'll just throw in a link to what we were discussing, and this was specifically around OpenStack projects, and it's matching what we've done in the past, where we've seen active interest from the community for to maintain a project where the maintainers have stepped away, and that one's more pressing for us because these are deliverables that the release team is actually tagging as part of the OpenStack releases and so on. Um, so it's easy for us to codify something like that because that's what we're doing, which is the TC as a backstop for this is able to judge whether there's genuine interest and the people that are that are showing up to take over, if we can groom them and provide them access to the Get It groups and the Launchpad accounts and whatnot, and give them the ability to take that project forward. Has happened with Freezer, has happened with Watcher in the very recent past, and for many more. So that's just writing down what we are doing. With the SIGs, something similar, but like you said, I mean, we should not be introducing processes that might make it harder to function as a SIG, because it is meant to be lightweight and such in comparison to project teams. But one thing we could do is, again, just do a check of all the SIGs that we have and see which of the chairs are not responsive anymore. And if there is no interest in those SIGs, we could try to retire those. So it's not wrong information that we have out there that these SIGs are active at all. And we have a process for that. I mean, we have different stages of a SIG. Like, there's a time where there are SIGs that are just expected to be not active and can be invoked based on the need. And those things are called advisory SIGs. And there are things that are just retired SIGs, existing SIGs that no longer have a purpose.
Yeah,
Um,
we call, I think, completed, not
Completed.
retired.
Okay.
So where like if there is SIG motive is to generate the documentation guidelines, and if that is completed, so we move those into a completed section.
Yeah.
And having that
I
SIG will
mean,
be helpful actually. We have a lot of SIG in advisory or completed mode, or maybe inactive.
I guess with like Ansible 6 specifically, it's a little bit different because it potentially can or should be deliverable, but it just cannot due to licensing. So I guess that's what is like most confusing. Well, can be most confusing because it's also somehow dependent on versions of SDK, and it's very dependent on versions of SDK actually. But then SDK is released as yeah. Anyway, there was a long
Project deliverable.
discussion last week. Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, so you got a couple of suggestions there. One was, I mean, float the aspect that a project team can actually take over that deliverable. And if there is no licensing concern and if it is part of the project's mission, that's totally doable. Or fork a similar project and start it if licensing allows it. That way, I mean, if you find it useful as a project team to maintain that as a deliverable, I think it's worth pursuing that route. The SIG repos are not meant to be consumed widely like that. Um,
Yes, right. And also, I was like just checking just today about like breaking changes in Ansible 2.19, and it potentially could be that quite a recall would be required for this specific like repository. Because there are like severe changes in like Ansible core basically.
okay, so it'll die a natural death just because it's not being maintained and being upgraded to the latest versions.
There is possibility of that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure like how much it is affected to be honest, because I haven't tested it because test suite for Ansible is also broken with this latest version. But yeah.
Okay. Doug, did you have anything to add to that particular thing? So basically, you have one reviewer who's on this call, but you don't have anybody else that can help land anything else, right? That's what the problem with Ansible collections is.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, that is the Ansible collection specifically, but obviously, I think we should just have a way to either star a repo or star a project that says like, hey, look, there's a critical thing. That's all. That's what I was trying to get at, which is what we're kind of covering, right? Like, because if that other person completely drops off, there's literally no way to merge anything without it involving the TC, right? And so I don't think we want to have projects that we get surprised like that. We should be able to say like, hey, we've identified that this project is at a critical level, so to speak, going forward, and should it lose any more involvement, it's busted, right? So that's what we're discussing. So
Yep.
I think it's also like a pity when there are like there are contributors, so like proposing patches. It's not like there is literally no interest and nobody cares. It's like uh, some like there are occasional contributions from a decent amount of people. Let's put it this way.
yeah, so they were. I mean, I was trying to fix a bug. I submitted a patch. Tests have been broken since early February. Um, and so I, tried to get that fixed, and then I reran everybody's patches, and I think it's 4 contributors across 15 patches that were out there. So I was just like, let me try to get my change in and everybody else's change in over the line, and it doesn't release on OpenStack's release schedule. So I'm trying to get everybody's stuff in and then just make a release because a bunch of folks that have created bugs are saying like, when can my fix make it into a release as well, right? So just don't look like a dead project is all I'm
Yeah.
trying to do with it. But what I'm trying to say is we shouldn't list it as a healthy project, right? It's a project that's not really healthy.
Right. And
Yeah,
it has to be owned by a project team, ideally.
yes, but it cannot. So I just counted like 9 unique contributors in last 2 weeks with patches either proposed or merged.
Yeah, I mean, there's patches and bug reports all over the place, right? Um uh, that been dragging over the line, and Artem's been merging um, from a multitude of people since November. But it's one of those projects that it's such a wide open thing. It's hard to sign up as the maintainer, right? Like
Right.
I can kind of help on Ironic and Neutron and some Nova stuff, but past that, my knowledge is not good enough.
That is precisely sort of a problem with projects like that. Basically, everything on the client side is exactly affected by that. And we have pretty much the list of core reviewers in Ansible is like more than 10 people right now, including cores from some services. But they are also not looking there.
Just one thought. Sorry, give me a second. Is it any way to know about like for example, when you said it's different in between this and that, I would say the state of those, because so for example for Nova, we had a lot of their drivers before, but unfortunately we had no tests for, let's say, 80% of them. So eventually we said either we have some way to test them by the CI, either by the upstream CI or by a third-party CI, or unfortunately we can no longer use that upstream. And we say that because unfortunately we are not able to know whether it was good or not for every driver. So my question here is that is there any way to ask them, at least for I would say for Ansible repos, whether they are tested or whether, for example, they basically we can continue to use them. Any way to verify that it's good or not.
Well, there is testing for something, and pretty much I guess that's what Duke was fixing not that long ago. But I mean, so it basically spawns dev stack, and then it does like some test playbooks running, creating resources, updating resources, and verifying their state pretty much.
And that's pretty much exactly the problem, that real clouds are not like DevStack. Every single cloud is behaving differently, and that is what is causing all those bug reports coming from people, that in real life, on real cloud, they get something different.
Yeah, right. Or, well, I would say that in many cases, like bug reports are related to really like corner or niche cases when you want to update resource in a very specific way. And then, as you said, it's really like a difference between real clouds and DevStack. Because it's usually fine like with creating or deleting resources. It's not that fine when you want like something very specific. And I think good example for that I had was like glance images, where you have like 5 or 4 different visibility types which are like represented differently. Image can be hidden, it can be community, can be public, it can be like active or inactive, and like all these changes of state are like slightly different eventually.
Yeah, but the core problem is that Ansible is sort of attempt to manage resources in declarative way. Please raise your hand who believes that OpenStack is declarative. This is simply bullshit. It's never going to work properly. There would be always corner cases.
Could we ask our distros whether they are able to test the Ansible collections?
It's not distros, it's clouds.
Oh,
You
I
should
see.
be testing it basically on every single cloud. And I was
I see.
saying this already multiple times on every possible summit, according to the SDK, that half of code base of SDK is to deal with differences in networking for the VM. You provision VM, and there are like 5 different types of how you can manage networking for that VM. And half code base of OpenStack is exactly to deal with all those differences.
But I mean, that's not an Ansible problem, right? That's like an API problem to me. And to be clear, that's, I mean, um, I think Ansible has the problem because indeed, the API
Sorry.
is different.
Can I
The
cut you off
APIs are
for a second,
different in bit.
Sylvan?
Yeah.
Sorry. Just
No, no
doing
worries.
a time check and we are getting into the weeds. So let's step away from this problem. I'm sorry, we can't solve the problem on this call, but I get the sentiment that we want to try to highlight the issue that this is useful to end users, but we don't have a project team owning it. It is a SIG that is unresponsive. So we have these problems that we've brought together, but let's not get into the technology of it unless it's useful for the project maintenance, and that should be had somewhere else. I think that discussion. Um, but let's move on because we do have some more topics on the list. I'll table this to the tracker. I will bring it back again. You can bet on it. And if you have ideas in the meantime to improve the SIG process, uh, let's let's discuss them as separate topics.
No worries, no worries, Gutam. I was just saying it's just an interrupt. It's just an interrupt API problem, not a problem for Ansible. But I'm pretty done. I'm pretty done with that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move to the next topic. That's all. That's a wrap on the AIs. So let's move to the next topic. Unless there's any other action item that anybody else was chasing. Sounds like none. Let's go to the next topic, and this one is informational. This comes from the Open Infra Foundation folks. So the first meeting of the Open Infra AI working group is next Monday. It is the 12th of May at 1500 UTC, I suppose. And the agenda and the information to join that call are on the Etherpad that I just shared on IRC. So please save the date if you're interested. And this is going to be a presentation from FPT Smart Cloud about how their AI use case and how their architecture works. And this is just us socializing this topic amongst the TC, but there's no action items as such that are expected off of this. We'll see if these meetings actually yield something that the TC needs to work on. But in general, I think the joining the Open Infra AI working group, if that's of interest to you, there's a mailing list that'll advertise events like this. But since this being the first time, they asked me to to share that news with you folks. Let's move
Yeah,
on. Go on.
yeah. So for what it's worth, I will attend. I will hope. I mean, I will look at my agenda, but if I can try to join it, I will join it. Not only as a TC liaison, but also as like as an AI expert for GPUs from Nova. So basically, if guys, you want me to be like a specific TC liaison, just tell me. I'm just saying I will be the representative, the TC representative, if you prefer. That other way to see it. But yeah, I will just be here just for like GPU support.
Okay, awesome. And there's a mailing list as well. This one's private at the moment, and I'm not sure I understand why. It could be just because they're still booting up, and it might have a lot of the open infra foundation companies at the moment trying to set the agenda and stuff. So feel free to join in case. Feel free to subscribe in case, but you will not find the archives unless you're a subscriber. Um, so there's that. So we might need the relaying of information from these calls if you're not able to participate. In the 11 minutes that we have, do we want to step into the topic that um, Doug had from the PTG that we couldn't get to? All right. I'll take silence as yes this time. So Doug, do you want to just give us an intro and then we can discuss?
Um, yeah. So are we talking about the like developer experience? The-
So I think so. And I'm just adding your notes here as prompts. So this is stuff that you had on the doc. And I think we were discussing the developer experience, yes.
Okay. So um, yeah, yeah. I think um, it was related to our async workflows and our calls and um, that. And so um, I think what I heard from folks is that they have a hard time gathering um, as developers. How do they start contributing? How do they start getting involved? And then also, what are the overall project's best practices? So I, I don't think a lot of work needs to get done, but I do think in the um, in the future, um, one of the things that I wanted to suggest was that we add some questions onto our survey around um, thinking back to or thinking about when you try to work with another project or thinking about when you try to do something. um, are there are there any areas that you have trouble with? Some questions like that, right? Like just get feedback from what dissuades people from maybe contributing, so that we can share that to some of the projects. Right. I know that the Ironic project just had a couple of Summer of Code and outreachy students that had some questions and some concerns, and there was some work done to about the on the contribution guide and getting that up to date and cleaning up some of the installs, right? And it's stuff that sometimes gets missed by the day-to-day maintainers of the project because they're not going and looking at that documentation regularly. And when that documentation is a little stale and out of date, it provides a barrier to bringing new people in. So um, that's all. So somehow uh, that we can create a means to get some feedback there and then share that to the projects. Like I'll pick on Artem, you're here. I'll pick on Keystone, right? If that's okay with you, just to say like you work on Keystone day in and day out, right? So it's not evident to you what makes it maybe hard for somebody to send you a patch, if I can use that example. Um,
Sure.
and just, I think we could have, at least we should have a way to get that feedback from people, you know. So,
All right, couple of hands. I'm not sure I can see who raised their hand first. Um, sorry,
Gautam is first.
Gansham, you mean?
Gansham, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, just actually trying to understand concern from the. So we in the past, like how we solve these kind of problem, like we had a first contact SIG, which especially meant for this, which is not active much now, but we do have people around, like onboarding the new people. And as part of that effort, we have put the contributor guides in every project, which tell about how to get involved, how to create accounts, how to get where is the team meetings happening, who to contact and all. So things are there. So do you know like what particular case or what particular thing missing here in the developer experience or
no, I'm just saying there was some during the um, during the PTG there was some commentary about this project works this way asynchronously, this project works that way. I've posted patches to that project and not gotten review. It was a pattern that I just heard from different calls. And so my suggestion that I wanted to say to the CC is we do a bunch of we do user surveys and developer surveys. So my suggestion for this topic was more of let's add a question or some questions on that of
Mhm.
like if you were to work on another part of OpenStack, you had to do like the other day for that Ansible thing, I had to try to fix some testing issues with designate, right? And I was like going and looking at their docs on fixing something, right? Like, and so I was just saying I'm almost a new contributor to that, right? So I kind of have a little bit of new user things so that I would want to provide those maintainers some feedback of, hey, like your doc here was wrong. And I have no problem going and fixing and sending them a patch for their doc. But I'm just saying it could be a barrier to entry to others out there that are not regular OpenStack contributors. They try to use the documentation and it's a little out of date. And I'm saying, I think that is probably, at least knowing me personally, the teams I manage internally, where our docs always suck the most. It's how to start using it, whatnot, because it's not documentation that we as maintainers and whatnot are looking at regularly. So I was just saying, I think we should add
I see.
something of like what would help you, something like that to the
Yeah.
questionnaire.
And I think,
That's
yeah,
all.
I see your concern now. And I think in addition to that, what part missing is outdated is two things I also observed. One is the meetings. We have a lot of meeting listed in our meeting page, but they're not happening. We never know like meetings happening, where is agenda and all. I've tried to join few of the meetings when our back cases. I really had a difficult time, to find their actual information versus whatever listed in the wiki page. And second is the most challenging comes up here is the active or up-to-date core member list in the Carrot. They have not been cleaned up, and Keystone is one example I'll use again. We never know. Means we know because we are working closely, but if you ask, maybe 50-60% of our active OpenStack developer, they might not know who is currently active and who to ping. So if we can clean up or keep up to date those kind of, core reviewer list, it's applicable to every project. So that can be, a more helpful what Doug is raising concern, like, whenever any new comes up to project. So yeah, I agree with the Doug concern on all this. It's not just a document, it's more of like, keeping everything up to date for project team, document, process, meeting info, especially. Um,
Yeah, I will be clear because of the time that we have. I will just second Gansham on that one. I mean, to me, the main concern that I have when I want to discuss with another project is who I could ping. I mean, just because once I know exactly who to ping, this is definitely simpler. I can ping it. We can discuss ping more. We can discuss. Then they tell me, for example, that I could join this specific meeting or no, I can create a spec. So for me as a contributor, my main point is basically who. And when I was previously the Nova PTL, it was the same for all the contributors that were wanting to work on Nova. Indeed, our documentation is a bit stale. You're definitely right, Doug. The wiki, at least, is probably like the stalest. I don't know if it's stalest is the right English term. Is the more stale, I would say. Um, our project documentation is more, I would say, a bit better. But yeah, basically, contributors that were wanting to work on Nova, if they were not knowing that they need to go to the IRC channel and ask something, and then me looking at their question, and then me telling them exactly what to do, then indeed they probably wouldn't know exactly what to do. So yeah, basically what we could try, and that's what I said, like for example, for the TC liaison, like the VMT liaisons that I saw on the wiki, basically those they are definitely stale from maybe like what 6 years. So I guess yeah, definitely we need to modify, I would say, liaisons, and maybe have some kind of if a project can say, for example, there could be like I would say not a mentor liaison, but like an onboarding liaison. It could be the PTL or someone else. That could be a way for someone wanting to do something. Please don't say I want to provide a patch, because the maintainers will say, but why would you want to provide me a patch? What's your problem? So basically, the main question that we're saying to the contributors is why you will be providing me directly a patch and not a bug report. But let's not discuss that now. We don't have time. But yeah, basically that's kind of the first thing that you should be doing, because you know that, Doug, it's not because maintainers don't really have time to basically work a lot of modifying the documentations. That's probably the main problem that we have. But if we can modify this and that in the documents, and eventually as a way to say for every release, then we can modify this and that if it's okay, then yeah. But so basically about your question whether we should be asking the contributors, maybe, I don't really know, maybe they could be saying how sad we are or how bad we are. But maybe asking them whether they will be happy if they know exactly who to ping for that. That would
Yeah,
be a way
it's a
to have
good
that.
point and a good segue to actually close this discussion. Such a survey exists, and it's been pushed to the mailing list, and we should do our best to bubble it up again. The survey had a soft deadline that passed, 6 days ago, about a week ago. But Fungi says on IRC that we're not closing the survey, so it's still totally useful to bubble it up and ask people what's going on, what pain points they have, what challenges they have at contributing to OpenStack. And it actually asks the same questions that Doug was asking, which is what specific concern do you have about a specific project team, for instance? If you have instances to bring up that we could then go and dive into and try to solve. Um, so I hope it's useful. I know we can only speculate until we get the results. But I think we should reprise this topic next week. And maybe if you have a specific concern, let's say like the one that Kansham brought up, saying team meetings are not happening, but they're listed on the team meetings page, and stuff. Maybe think those are things that we can work on as well, um, individually. So this is a multi-headed Hydra, this whole contributor experience thing. So we should break it down and try to work on it. Because every time this comes up, we have an overwhelming amount of feedback, which we know are all problems. Except we wouldn't make any progress if we, you know, kept discussing the problems, um, as a whole. Um, Hope that doesn't come across as not wanting to discuss the problems, but we are out of time. We're 5 minutes past, so thank you so much for staying on the call. So let's wrap this up in this meeting, and I'll wrap up the IRC discussion right after. But if you have something to add to the minutes, feel free to do so. Thank you all for joining. I'll see you on IRC next week.
So, thanks everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, bye.